Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis, and today we're kicking off 2025, and we're going to kick it off with something really transformational, a practice that's been a non-negotiable in my life for about the last, I want to say 8 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. I could go back into my notes and see all of my words, but it really is the reason I've been able to live with intention, to really live with clarity, resilience, no matter what life throws my way. And here's what I'm talking about. I am talking about choosing a word of the year. Now, before we get into that, I want to just tell you that this can absolutely change your life, because trust me, it is not just this like nice idea. You may have heard it floating around recently, especially because we're just getting into the new year, but this is a game changer. For real, this is a game changer. And I want to take you back to the year that this practice found me. And I say that because I was not searching for this. I was the girl that still made all of the resolutions and laid out my goals. I've always been that way. I always felt like the beginning of a year, even though I know now that you can really start anytime, there's something fresh about starting the beginning of a year. And so I've always loved this time. And so, anyway, I say that this found me because it truly, truly did. And go figure, the first word that was my word of the year was joy. And honestly, again, didn't choose it. Joy chose me, and it has been my favorite word since. At the time, what had happened is a close friend's wife was battling cancer. She was super young, beautiful, thriving career, had her own amazing business. She has this great husband who happened to be my friend, and they had a little one at home. And out of nowhere came this diagnosis. And on top of that, her father had just passed away maybe a few months before that. And I just couldn't imagine going through what it was that she was going through. But through it all, she fought. And let me tell you, she fought with such grace. She had such bravery. And most remarkably, what stood out to me the most was the fact that she found joy through it all. Her motto was actually choose joy. And her friends had made these bracelets and they said choose joy on them. We all wore them. And it was just a reminder for all of us to be choosing joy through this time. And watching her navigate all of these challenges really shifted something in me. And I just kept thinking, if she can choose joy during the most challenging time of her life, then I certainly could do that as well. And that year, joy became this compass for me. It really, honestly, forever changed me. It changed how I approached my challenges, how I celebrated my wins, and also how I saw myself. I had the word joy all over my classroom. It just was everywhere as a reminder that even through the hard, I was going to do my best to choose joy. And here's the best part. I will leave you with this. She is still thriving today. She's cancer free. She is still an inspiration to so many people. But that experience really taught me the power of a single word and how it can guide our thoughts, how it can guide our actions, our emotions, all of it. So, What is a word of the year? I want to just briefly describe it because, really, at its core, it's just one word that becomes your anchor, your guiding principle, and your reminder of what you want to focus on throughout the year. It's not a resolution that you write down once and forget it in a few weeks. It really becomes this living, breathing intention that kind of evolves through you. That's the best, or maybe I should say it evolves with you. And the beauty of the word of the year is that it's just simple. It's flexible enough to adapt what to whatever comes your way, but it's powerful enough. And this is what I want to really emphasize is that it's power enough to kind of pull you back into center when life feels chaotic. So I want you to think about the word of the year as your North Star. It's there to guide you, it's there to inspire you, and it really helps you to remember what matters most in your life that year. And here's why this practice is so powerful. By the end of this episode, not only are you going to understand the science and the psychology behind why it works, but you're also going to have the exact steps you need to choose your very own word for 2025 if you haven't already. So I'm super excited about it. I've got my coffee in hand because I am recording this very early in the morning and I'm still a little raspy getting over a cold. So excuse me if I have a little cough or a here and there. But I just really wanted to come on because I felt like this is such an important thing to talk about. And it really is a way to simplify and it's a way to feel successful throughout your year. So, again, like I said, over the last several years, I have been practicing this and it has been a non negotiable in my life. And what's cool about it is that each word that I've chosen has shaped specific areas of my life in really profound ways. And one year, my word was align, and it really came to me during a time that I was feeling really scattered. I was saying yes to way too many things in my life, go figure. But I was saying yes to a lot of things that were not in alignment to my goals, to my values. And that year, the word align just kept coming up for me. And it reminded me to focus on what truly mattered. And it helped me make decisions as I moved forward in that year to let go of what wasn't serving me. So I could always like go back and reflect on that word. Is this in alignment with me? And that was how I made decisions. Does it feel aligned in my soul? Again, that's how I made decisions. Now, this year, my word of the year is bold. I wanted a word that would push me to step out of my comfort zone. I want to be able to speak on stages this year. I want to be able to share my story. And I want to really show up in ways that I have never showed up before. Now, the word scares me a little bit, but I'm going to go through the process of how you can pick your word and how you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is the word for you. So, even though it feels scary, I know in my soul that this is the word for me this year. Now, of course, it hasn't always been easy. There were years when I kind of lost sight of my word or I struggled to really live it out fully. But I will say that even in those moments, the process taught me these really valuable lessons about persistence, about having grace with myself. And over time, I just started really refining the approach on how to go about this. And for me, I really learned how to choose a word that was going to stretch me without completely overwhelming me. I wanted it to be something that, here's my word again, aligned with both my head and my heart. And that is what we're going to do today. Now, I want to get into a little bit about why this practice is so powerful because it's not just a feel good concept, you guys. It really is backed by science. And this is where it gets interesting. So, I want to start with something really fascinating. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. Now, don't worry, I am not a science and math girl. I tell you that a lot. It's not going to be a complicated science lesson, I promise, but it is really important to understand because the RAS is a network of neurons in your brain that acts like this filter. And every second, I want you to think about this. Every second, we are bombarded with millions of bits of information. There's information coming at us all of the time, information that we don't even realize is coming at us because it's all subconsciously we're able to navigate it. What we see, what we hear, what we feel. But our brains are so powerful that it can process all of that at once. So the RAS steps in, so RAS, the reticular activating system, steps in to decide what gets your most attention. So here's the magic. The RAS is influenced by what you consciously focus on. It's why when you decide you want a red car, we've talked about this before, suddenly it feels like every car on the road is red. And the reality is those cars were always there. It was always like that. It's not like more cars just came to be that were red that that were on the road, but your brain now knows to notice them, to focus on them. So when you choose your word of the year, you're telling your RAS, hey, this is what's important to me. And suddenly, all of these opportunities, all of these ideas and experiences that are aligned with that word seem to appear everywhere. I'm not even kidding. It's not that they magically show up, you guys. It's that your brain is now turned on to notice them. So, I want to give you an example. A word like bold, my word for this year. It has already blown me away how much this word is popping out at me, literally. And I laugh because I was just on a workshop on New Year's Day and I was listening to Brendan Burchard, and he was talking about stepping boldly and walking boldly into 2025. And I was like, yep, there it is. And since then, you guys, I have heard this word so many times. And I love it because the word becomes your filter and it starts to guide your thoughts and actions in very intentional ways. I've already started to go, okay, I've got to be bold in this decision. And it's only what? By the time this airs, it's the 7th, and I'm recording this several days ahead of time. So then there's this neuroplasticity. Now, this is your brain's ability to rewire itself. And this is, I'm going to keep this kind of short, but when you consistently reflect on your word through your journaling, through your affirmations, just your daily reminders, you're forming new neural pathways. And over time, what happens is that these small shifts in your thought and your behavior starts to compound and it starts to create this lasting change. And then, of course, the third thing in the science and psychology of it all is the emotional resonance of a single word. So, words like joy, courage, freedom, they start to carry this really deep meaning and they start to evoke feelings that motivate you. They inspire you to stay consistent, even when life gets tough. So when you go to choose a word of the year, you're doing more than just setting an intention. Yes, you're setting an intention, but you're actually reprogramming your brain to notice, to align with, and act on opportunities that bring your word to life. Is that so cool. I love it. It's both science, but it's also your soul working together to guide your year with purpose and clarity. And the best part, you can start it right now. That's what's so cool. So even if you haven't picked a word this year, or maybe you did set some resolutions, or maybe you set some goals because you're like, I don't want to do the resolutions, I don't want to fail. Maybe this is a perfect opportunity for you to pick a word. So I'm going to talk you through exactly how to choose your word for your word for 2025. And it's going to get really personal. It's going to get powerful. So you might want to go ahead and take out your pen and paper. If you're driving, of course, just come back to this. But there are some simple steps that you can take. And I broke that down, and it's going to be reflect, brainstorm, test, and commit. Okay. So let's get into it. Well, the first one is going to be reflect on the year that you've just lived. So I want you to reflect on 2024, and I want you to think about everything that you've experienced, the wins, the challenges, the lessons, all of the things. I want you to really reflect on that. And I want you to reflect on what worked well and what didn't work so well. Okay. And I want you to take a few minutes to answer a few of these prompts. Okay. You can write these down in your journal. You can just think about it maybe while you're driving or washing the dishes or taking a walk. What are you most proud of from the past year? I want you to really think about that. And then I want you to think about what areas of your life feel fulfilling and aligned. So, what are you most proud of? What feels so fulfilling and so aligned right now and throughout 2024? And then we're going to do the opposite. What areas feel stuck or out of balance? And then, if you could change one thing about the past year, what would it be? This reflection is going to be so important through this process because what it's going to do, it's really going to set the foundation for your word. And it helps you to start identifying where you were, where you are, and where you want to go. And when I did this, I realized I was ready to step into bigger opportunities and take bolder action. And that is exactly how I landed on my 2025 word for bold. So I want you to just, make sure that you're taking your time with this step, and you might even start to uncover like some themes or patterns that will point you towards your perfect word. However, you may not have it just yet. Okay. So that's where step number 2 comes in, and that's to brainstorm. So once you've reflected, it's time to really get to the fun part. That's what I say is the fun part. And you're going to start by writing down any words that resonate with you. So don't overthink it, just let them flow. You're just going to say, I want to be thinking about any word that resonates with me, that stands out to me. And here's a few categories to get started, just in case, you may be going, what? I still don't even know. Maybe it's, how do you want to feel this year? So those would be words like calm, empowered, joyful. So think of how you want to feel this year. Then I want you to think about what you want to achieve this year. So that could be growth, that could be abundance, creativity. So get where I'm going with this. So it's feel what you want to achieve, and who do you want to become? Do you want to become someone that's resilient, authentic, bold? Think about those words too and start jotting all of those down. How you want to feel, what you want to achieve, and who you want to become. If you're feeling stuck, because sometimes we still do, that's okay. Start, looking up on a thesaurus on Google, or even go to Pinterest and spark your inspiration. I mean, there's so many things that we can do, even creating a mood board. Find images, find colors, anything that reflects an energy that really captures your attention. I was looking at the word favor this year as well. Favor and bold kept coming up for me. But the more I started to dig, the more I started to see, and it was revealed to me that bold was meant to be my word. And that brings me to number 3, where you start to test the word. And that's what I had to do. So now that you might have some potential words, maybe you've got 3, 4, 5, 2, whatever that number is, it's time to kind of test them out. And this is where you're going to narrow it down to the one word. Okay. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how I can get down to one word. This is where I want you to ask these questions. How does this word feel aligned emotionally, spiritually, and in a practical way? How does that feel when you say that word? When you see that word? I want you to test each word you have right now and be able to think about that. Does it excite you? Does it feel like a stretch without being overwhelming? Because that's the magic. It's a stretch, but it's not something that you're not ready for at all. Okay. Because if you're feeling like it's very overwhelming, like bold probably would not have been a word for me a few years ago. That would have felt way too overwhelming for me. I've had to work to that space in my life. And that just happens to be the chapter I'm in right now. I hope that makes sense. And I want you to also think about, can you see this word actually guiding you through the highs and through the lows of the year? Because let's face it, we are going to face highs and lows this year. We are. And if you want, another great thing you can do is kind of live with that word for a day or two. Live with it. See what comes up for you. Say it out loud. Maybe write it in your journal, or imagine how this is going to influence some of the things that you want to do or what you want to become. And think about, is this a word that would guide my actions and my mindset? And if a word doesn't feel quite right, that's totally okay, because that's what happened with me with favor. Even though I love that word, I just kept testing it. And then again, bold is what truly clicked. Favor might be a word down the road that clicks with me. So the right word, I am going to say this, the right word is going to feel like this deep exhale. It just fits. Like you're going to go, yes, that's the word. You're going to feel it. I promise you, when you test that out. And then your step 4 is going to be commit to it. Once you've picked the word, it's time to fully commit to it, because this is where the power of the intention actually comes into play. So this is where intention comes to play. And here's a few ways that you can really make this visible. You can really make it real for you. Start to write it in your planner. When I'm at my computer, I always have my word above me, like right in front of me on my wall. I always write it in my planner. I always write it in my yearly journal. You can have a vision board if you're someone that loves a vision board. Ooh, I do. And I have lots of things to talk about with that. We might do that this month as well. A vision board is where you could put your word like at the center of your vision board. Set it even as your phone wallpaper. You can do that. You can share your word with other people. You can put on social media to help hold you accountable to it. But I promise you that when you put your word out into the world, it becomes more than just an idea, and it becomes a promise to yourself. And it's a way to, again, anchor your year in intention and start taking aligned action. Okay. So remember, it's going to be reflect, brainstorm, test, commit. 4 Simple, but really powerful steps to choosing your word for the year. And again, it's not about perfection. Your word doesn't have to solve everything or feel magical from day one, even though it kind of will. It's about choosing a focus that feels meaningful to you, something that will grow and evolve with you as the year unfolds. You will be amazed. And a few other tips just in, being able to integrate this word. I want you to just think of this as the beginning. This is just the beginning. Like, I have no idea where the word bold is going to take me this year. And I love to reflect on that. I love, love, love to reflect on it at the end of the year, because you will, if you stick to this, you're going to be blown away. And where the magic really happens is when you're integrating this word into your life every single day, because like I said, it becomes so inspirational and it really does help to take action. So when you want to amplify your word, if you're like, okay, I'm in, I'm 100% in, let's do this thing, let's practice this. I want to give you some just daily rituals and affirmations, because you want to reconnect with that word as much as possible. So it can be an affirmation like, I embody boldness in every decision I make today, or joy flows through me and into everything I do. So again, write your word in your journal, say it out loud, meditate on it for a few minutes during, for what I call the golden hour. If you haven't heard about the golden hour, there's a podcast. Look back where the golden hour is. You can even do monthly check-ins. That's another great way. So at the beginning of each month, spend a few minutes reflecting on your month and your word and how it has shown up in your life. And then ask yourself, how has it guided me throughout this month? What challenges or what opportunities did it help me navigate? And how can I embody this word even more in the next month ahead? That's a great way to reflect on it, because these regular check-ins are going to keep your word front and center. And that's what you want to do, because you really want it to be a meaningful part of your journey. So those are some ways that you can really amplify it. And one of my favorite ways to amplify it is by sharing it with others. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I love to share this idea with others, and I love to share my word, because there's so much power in community and accountability. So when you're sharing it with your family and your friends, and you tell them why you're doing what you're doing, there will be some accountability in that. Ask somebody to be your accountability partner in it. That's another great thing to do. And if you need an accountability partner, share it with us here at the Rise to Shine community. Tag me on Instagram, send me a DM, post about it. I would love to hear what your word is. It's so much fun. I think I even have a post in Facebook right now that asks, what's your word of the year? And it's so fun to hear those conversations, because when you share your word, you're going to inspire others to reflect on their own intentions. And that is what I love, is that ripple effect, because that's what this movement of Rise to Shine is all about. So let's cheer each other on. Let's hold each other accountable. And I want you to imagine this as we wrap up. It's December 31st, 2025, and you're looking back on a year that was guided by a single word. The word that shaped your choices, it helped you grow and brought you closer to the life that you truly desire. How is that going to feel? I bet it's going to feel pretty amazing. So here's my challenge for you. Take the time today to reflect, brainstorm, and choose your word for the day. Test it, commit to it, share it, and let it guide you into a year of bold action and meaningful growth. And just to let you know, If you're ready to go even deeper, I talked about the word of the day. I talked about vision boards. I talked about the golden hour. There's so many things that I mentioned in here. And I have to tell you that the Glow Up School that is launching has incredible tools and resources to help you live with intention all year long. We have opened enrollment and we're going to be starting on January 15th, although it will be evergreen. So you can join. There will be times to join throughout the year. It's always great to get started right at the beginning because, got to tell you, it's early bird pricing until January 15th. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. We are going to do so many amazing things in this space. OMG. And talk about community. Ladies, it is going to be, I'm just so excited about this. Make sure that you check it out. It's going to be in the show notes. You can go right to the link. It will take you to a page that will answer all of your questions, tell you what it's about. And I cannot wait for 2025. So here's to a year of bold action. Here's my coffee cup. I'm giving you a cheers to meaningful growth and stepping fully into the woman that you're meant to be. And let's make 2025 unforgettable. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to see the words that you choose and the incredible journeys that they're going to inspire. And hopefully, I'm going to see you in the Glow Up School. And again, everything will be in the notes today. So you guys, thanks. Have a great day. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is yet to come. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.